Good morning to you all. When Craig sent out his email saying that he was going to step back for a little while because of health issues, I shot him an email back right away and said that I was standing ready to help out Butch and Shelley and everyone in any way that I could. And so when we got to Lent and I came for the Ash Wednesday pancake feed, I offered that I could help out. I remembered that Craig always has the symbols of Lent, and that when we got to the rooster, I had a talk prepared having to do with that. Well, Butch pretty much gave it the talk just now. Well, some of it, a lot of it, but we'll get to that anyway. But this is actually something that Butch and I have given a couple of times in our Kairos ministry. I'm not a great speech writer. I can deliver one. Been public speaking since my 4-H days as a kid with project talks and the like. But thank goodness for Kairos that have our talks written out for us, because I can stare at a blank sheet of paper or a blank computer screen forever trying to figure out what I want to say, how I want to say it. They have it all written out for us. And what I've done is taken a couple of different Kairos talks that we do during our weekends and edited them together, and we start with the rooster story. And this is the story of a farmer who had a hobby of raising prize-winning bantam poultry, banties we call them, banties. Now I don't know if you've ever been to the state fair, to the poultry building, but when you walk in, you can tell where those banties are. They have that high-pitched crow and the hens as well, really high-pitched clucks. And so anyway, this farmer was had a particular rooster, prize-winning rooster. He'd shown it at local poultry exhibitions and county fairs around the area. Even at the state fair, he'd won blue ribbons, purple champion ribbons with this particular rooster. Now, the farmer also had a son that he was quite proud of. Boy was doing quite well in school and liked by all of his classmates and teachers. And for his 16th birthday, the farmer decided he would give his son a shiny red convertible. Now, the boy was just overwhelmed with happiness over this present. He was really happy with this. He wanted to go show the car to his friends. Asked his dad if he could go into town and show it to his friends, and the farmer said, well, yeah, that's fine, but be careful and be sure to be back in time this evening to do your chores. Don't be too late. Fine. The boy goes into town and he's finding his friends, giving them all rides around the courthouse square, and the girls, I don't know what it is about a red convertible. Now, at one time, my older brother and I had similar Firebirds. He had a 67 Firebird, mine was a 68. They're both styled the same. His was a red convertible. Mine was yellow, coupe, hardtop. Now, one time mine was on the sideline getting some work done, and I asked my brother if I could borrow his car. And so I was riding around in this red convertible, and sure enough, the girls all see, I don't know what it is, but they seem to like those red convertibles. Anyway, the boy is giving his friends all rides and the girls, and well, he looks at his watch, and it's getting late. He's got to get back home. So he tells everyone goodbye, starts off down the road, and he's probably going faster than he should have been. All too soon, he's there at the driveway, pulls into the driveway, down the lane, through the gate. Oh my gosh! He puts on his brakes, and he had hit the prized rooster. Oh, maybe it's okay. Maybe I just stunned it. He gets out of the car. He goes around front. He looks. No, the bird is motionless. His grill is all full of feathers and blood, and no, he'd killed Dad's prize rooster. What do I do now? And he looks up, and his father is sitting on the porch in his rocker. Oh, the boy is heartbroken. He picks up the bird, and he carries it up to the porch and lays it down there in front of his father, and he's apologizing profusely. And the father, well, he he says, "Yes, son, I'm upset, but I forgive you. I forgive you. It's okay. Let's go get a shovel and let's go bury the rooster." So together they go to the tool shed, and they get a spade, a shovel, and they go out in back of the house to this large shade tree, and they dig a hole, and together they bury the rooster. Well, it's a couple of days later now, and the boy is coming home from school, and he gets to thinking about what he's done, what's happened, and he gets home, he changes clothes, and he heads for the tool shed, and he does something strange. He gets that shovel, and he goes and he digs up the rooster, and he shakes off the dirt and the bugs that are on it, and he carries it to his father, who's in the barn, working in the barn there, and he holds it up, and he again tearfully asks his father for forgiveness. Now the farmer's rather, puzzled by what's with this? "No, son, I forgave you. I forgave you. Go and bury the rooster," which the son did. Well, 3 or 4 days later, it's Saturday, and the family's all together. They're in town. They're shopping for the weekend and for the coming week, and they're headed for home. And once again, the son gets to thinking about the events of the past week or so, and he gets home and he changes clothes, and he heads for the tool shed again. Guilt. My friends, guilt, for me personally anyway, is one of the most powerful emotions that we can have. At least in my opinion, just nearly as powerful as love and hate. Repetitive thoughts of guilt can lead to depression, and that certainly is what happened with me. The Bible certainly talks about guilt many times. Moses felt guilt as well when he was told by God to return to Egypt and set his people free. He tried to run from God. His guilt got to him. And David, of course, David must have dealt with a lot of guilt over some of the things that he did throughout his life and his time being king of Israel. Jonah as well absolutely had to feel some guilt when he was in the belly of the great fish running from God. He didn't want to go to Nineveh, but his guilt got to him, and he eventually turned around and did what God had asked. Let's talk about a couple of other instances of guilt that we find in the Bible, starting, as Butch said, with Judas. As Butch said last week, Jesus and the disciples are headed back to Jerusalem, but they stop along the way to visit with Mary and Martha and Lazarus. And Mary is washing Jesus' feet and anointing them with a special ointment, a highly fragranced perfume. But this bothers Judas. And why wasn't this perfume sold for 300 denarii and the money given to the poor? And we're told that it wasn't that Judas cared for the poor that much, but that he was a bit of a thief. He kept the money bag for the disciples as they traveled around, and people gave them offerings to keep their work going and to pay for food and the like. And Judas used to take a little bit out of the money bag for his own good. Judas was chosen by God to hear the words of Jesus, to see the miracles happen day after day and week after week. But the strangeness of Judas is that somehow he never saw or heard or understood what Jesus was really all about. His spirit seemed to not have been touched by the Son of God. Judas just missed the point of it all. All of that exposure to Jesus, and Judas was still totally confused about him. Judas is not alone. There have been others who have not understood Jesus. Why is that? Well, Scripture never tells us that Judas was ever close to anyone. And Judas himself makes that statement with his death, as Butch said. After he'd been paid 300 pieces of silver to betray Christ and point him out as they are going to the garden where Jesus is praying, he gets to feeling guilty. And he goes back to the scribes and the Pharisees and he says, hey, wait a minute, this isn't what I didn't buy into this. I thought maybe you'd rough him up a little bit and maybe throw him out of town and tell him to not come back, but I didn't buy into this crucifixion stuff. No, take your money back. No, scribes and Pharisees say, no, you in for a penny, in for a pound. Now, you knew what you were doing. Just keep your money. We don't want your blood money. Judas, of course, was overwhelmed with guilt, threw down the money, went out, and he hung himself. Judas had built a high, tough wall that he just couldn't see any other way out. And friends, this happened to me with my own dad. I'm told in the end that his repetitive thoughts of guilt led to depression. And though my mother sought mental health help for him, after he'd been in the hospital for a couple of weeks, he too had built that high, thick, tough wall and just couldn't see any other way out, and he committed suicide as well. Accepting love from anyone, just not a natural thing. Sharing and receiving love, something that has to be learned. There's another way to handle our guilt. We don't want to build that wall. We don't want to put up a sign that says, leave me alone. Is there something that we can do about that wall? What can we do? We need to have the ability to hear the words, I love you, I accept you, I honor you, I'm proud of you. There's something we can do. That wasn't done by Judas, but it was done by Simon Peter. Peter, as Butch said, Peter thought he had it all figured out. When Jesus shared with his disciples that they would deny him and scatter and leave him alone, not Peter, no siree, I'm on board, Jesus, I will be with you right there to the end. You and me, Jesus, you and me. These other disciples, yeah, they might be mushy, wishy-washy, no, unreliable. Nope, I'm right there. I'm willing. I'm not a coward. I've left it all behind. I'm following you. You know where my heart is, Jesus. You and me, Jesus. You and me. We've got it. Then, of course, we have our friend the rooster once again, where Jesus says, no, you will deny me. Before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times. The disciples scatter. Peter, though, he does stay close. He wants to find out what's going on, so he's there in that communal, around the communal fire in the courtyard, trying to keep warm. And a man there says, hey, didn't I see you traveling around with this Nazarene guy? No, you must be mistaken. You must have me mistaken for someone else. It wasn't me. Young woman comes up. Yes, I think I did see you going with Jesus around, weren't you? No, not me. That wasn't me. That must have been somebody else. And a third time, he's approached again by a man. I know you were with him. I saw you. You were with this Jesus traveling around. Sir, I don't know what you're talking about. I do not know this man. And then, of course, our friend, the rooster, crows. And at that moment, Jesus is being led through the courtyard, and their eyes meet. And Peter breaks down. Simon Peter, also like Judas, chosen by God to hear the words of Jesus, to see the miracles happening day after day, week after week. Peter walked as closely with Jesus as all the rest of the disciples. And the strangeness of Peter is that somehow he never saw or heard or understood exactly what Jesus was all about either. He never saw the depth of his need for Jesus. Peter may have understood Jesus, but he didn't quite understand himself. And when it came down to the nitty-gritty, Peter fell on his face, just like Judas. But unlike Judas, Peter didn't bottle up his emotion of total failure. He didn't bottle up his hurt, his anger, his frustration, and his guilt. He didn't get tough and hard. He didn't pretend that he didn't hate himself. Peter got real honest with himself. He let it all out. He blew his cool, he lost control, and he wept tears that may have been in there for years. When a feeling is this intense, something has to happen. You can end it with an act of self-destruction, or you can go the way of Peter, who used his guilt and his pain and his shame to build a bridge, not a wall around himself. Used all those feelings that were tearing his insides up and shared them with God. And when he did that, he was reconciled and brought back into the gracious, gentle presence of God, healed and new. That kind of happened to me too. About 20 years ago, I was in the depths of depression as well. And though the antidepressants helped out, definitely changed the brain chemistry a little bit so that I wasn't having those repetitive thoughts, what helped me the most was to find a good, trusted Christian woman in mental health. And together, off and on over 10 years, we shared a lot, talked a lot. I still talk to her quite often. She's retired from her mental health work, but she still, I see her down at Winfield at the Walnut Valley Festival every year. She helps her brother out, who has a leather working booth down there. And when I go down to Winfield, I make it a point to find Sharon, and we reconnect and we talk, and we just kind of have a quick little mental health checkup every year. So it's great to see her every year. But we can deal in more constructive ways with our feelings of guilt. Well, speaking of guilt, let's get back to our friend the farm boy. And when we last saw him, he was headed for that tool shed again. And you're probably thinking to yourself, if that boy digs up that rooster again, he's got to be the dumbest kid. Yeah, it's just. But let's think about it. How many times have we been digging up our roosters? How many times have we been giving up and giving in and digging up our roosters? If we've accepted Jesus and asked for his forgiveness, we are told in the Bible that God can put our sins and our guilt as far as the east is from the west. So if God has forgiven you and you've accepted his love, let's go bury our roosters and quit digging them up. Now, who's ready for some fried chicken? Thank you.